Welcome to National Gun Trust's ATF Form 5320.20 Video Walkthrough Guide. Thank you for joining us today. We're going over the ATF Form 5320.20 application to transport NFA firearms, which is more commonly known simply as the ATF Form 20. Our ATF Form 20 Video Walkthrough Guide will go over each box for the application to transport NFA firearms. Please note that the ATF Form 20 isn't required when transporting silencers, but can be used to cover your behind. We will break the ATF Form 20 form into a few sections and describe the boxes that reside within that section. Let's start with boxes 1 through 3. Box 1. Name and address of registered owner. This is the name and address of the registered owner of the NFA firearm or NFA firearms. You can find this information on your currently approved ATF Form 1, ATF Form 4, and/or ATF Form 5. You will also indicate how the registered owner registered for the NFA firearms. For example, individual, gun trust, etc. Note, if your NFA firearms are owned by a gun trust, corporation, or other legal entity, this information will go here and not your name as a responsible person. Box 1A, telephone number. This is your phone number, including your area code. Box 1B, email address. This is your email address. Box 2, firearms to be returned to original location. If you're temporarily transporting your NFA firearm, interstate, meaning between the currently registered state and a different state, then you will select yes. If you're changing the permanent address where your NFA firearms will reside, whether interstate or intrastate, you will select no. Box 3. Dates firearms will be away from original location, if to be returned to that location, or dates in transit if to be permanently relocated. The from date is the date that you're requesting to transport your NFA firearm on. The to date is the date that the NFA firearm will be returned to the address in Box 7. If you're permanently moving the NFA firearm, the from date and the to date should be the dates that the NFA firearm will be in transit. Note that you can select the from date and the to date range for up to 1 year. This is helpful if you plan on transporting the NFA firearm to a certain location more than one time, for example, a cabin, a shooting range, etc. This completes the first section of the ATF Form 20. The next section is information from the NFA firearm or NFA firearms that you plan to transport. Box 4, firearms to be transported, is split between 7 boxes. This information can be found on your currently approved ATF Form 1, ATF Form 4, and/or ATF Form 5 applications. Manufacturer. The original manufacturer's name will go here. If you original manufactured the NFA firearm using the ATF Form 1, for example, made your own silencer, then your name, gun trust name, corporation name, or other legal entity name will go here. For reference, this will also be the name that you indicated in Box 1. Type of firearm. This is the type of NFA firearm that you're transporting. Options include silencer, short-barreled rifle, short-barreled shotgun, machine gun, any other weapon, AOW, or destructive device. Caliber or gauge. This is the caliber or gauge of the NFA firearm. Model. This is the model name of the NFA firearm. Barrel length. This is the length of the barrel and the NFA firearm, if applicable. Overall length. This is the overall length of the NFA firearm. Serial number. This is the serial number of the NFA firearm. You can add up to 3 NFA firearms on one ATF Form 20. If you're transporting more than 3 NFA firearms or permanently moving more than 3 NFA firearms, then you will need to complete a second ATF Form 20 for those NFA firearms. This completes the information for the NFA firearm or NFA firearms that you're transporting or permanently moving section. The next section is the address section of the ATF Form 20. Box 5, mailing address of returned form. This is the address where you want the approved ATF Form 20 to be mailed to. This will only need to be completed if the address is different than the address that you indicated in Box 1. Box 6, reason for transportation of firearms. This is the reason for transporting the NFA firearms. For example, permanent change of address, etc., and can vary from case to case. Box 7. Transporting from number, street, city, county, state, and zip code. This is the address where you will be transporting the NFA firearms from. Box 8. Transporting to number, street, city, county, state, and zip code. This is the address where you will be transporting or permanently moving the NFA firearms to. If no address exists for the location, the ATF may allow latitude and longitude coordinates to be used. Box 9. Mode of transportation. There are many widely used answers here, but you will use the mode of transportation that you will use to transport or permanently move the NFA firearms here. For example, private vehicle, private conveyance, personal conveyance, or the name and address of the carrier being used. Note, if a contract or common carrier is used to transport the NFA firearms, a copy of ATF Form 5320.20 shall be furnished to the carrier and shall be in the possession of the carrier for the duration of the transportation. This completes the address portion of the ATF Form 20. The next three boxes, boxes 10 through 12, will only be completed if the NFA firearms are being temporarily exported. These three boxes aren't commonly used and are self-explanatory if you're temporarily exporting the NFA firearms. Box 13, Signature of Owner. This is the signature of the registered owner from Box 1. If the NFA firearms are owned by a gun trust, corporation, or other legal entity, this would be the settler's name or owner within the aforementioned entities. Box 14, Date. This is the date that you're signing and completing the ATF Form 20. This completes the ATF Form 20 that will be completed by the registered owner. Boxes 15 through 17 will be completed by the ATF. When you mail or submit your ATF Form 20 application to the ATF, you will include 2 signed copies in duplicate to the ATF. One copy will be returned to the address indicated within the application, and the second copy will be kept by the ATF. You have 3 methods to submit your ATF Form 20. The first is by mail. You can mail the ATF Form 20 in duplicate to the Director, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, 244 Needy Road, Martinsburg, West Virginia, 24405. Attention, NFA Division. The second method would be submit the ATF Form 20 to the NFA Division via facsimile at 304-616-4501. The last option would be to submit a scanned copy of your signed ATF Form 20 via email to the NFA Division at nfafax@atf.gov. This completes the ATF Form 5320.20 video walkthrough guide. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any further questions, you can email us your question using the link in the video description, reach out to us on Reddit using our account u/National Gun Trusts, or by simply leaving a comment below.